Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. For those who are new to the program, this initiative is to bring ideas, experience, knowledge from all around the world, from personality, whether they are international, national, or regional, to come and speak on certain thematics that we think could help benefit Cambodia in its economic development. Today, we have the pleasure to have a personality who is quite known in the Cambodian scene. He is Dr. May Kalyan. Welcome, Dr. May.
Thank you very much.
Can I call you Kalyan?
Please, please.
We know each other for quite a while already.
Please go ahead.
The theme today, we want to focus a bit on a sub-sector of the agricultural sector, which is on the development of the silk industry. But before we move on to the specificity of this dialogue, maybe I would want Kalyan to say a bit about yourself, your background a bit, so that people know where you're coming from.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you for inviting me today, and I'm very pleased to come here to share my experience. I left the country before Pol Pot, 1974, and I went to study in Japan. To cut the story short, I get PhD in economics from Japan, and then after that I study a short while in the United States. Then after that I was with the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, for 20 years as senior economist. Now I'm back to Cambodia to help its development.
So you mean you sort of retired?
Sort of retired, yeah.
Well, I think, Kalyan, you are very humble. But I have a quick look at your CV. It's quite interesting. You hold many advisory positions in leading institution, think tanks of the royal government, like with the Supreme National Economic Council, with the Economic, Social and Cultural Council at the Office of Council Minister. You're also senior advisor of the Rural Development Bank, senior advisor of the One Village, One Product National Committee, and also a senior advisor of the Cambodian National Mekong Committee. So quite a broad experience that you have. But I'm glad you're coming today because the topic, like I say, is about silk. And I understand that you are a director of a support to the sericulture rehabilitation project of the FAO on silk. Maybe you want to set the context a little bit on that.
It's true. It is true that after coming back to Cambodia, as a kind of semi-retired, I have pension from the UN, so I'm free to do many things that I like to do. But I like to focus on the kind of center or core of the policy making of the economy. That's why you are right. We are talking about SNEC, Supreme National Economic Council, ECOSOC in short, in the Office of the Council of Ministers, also advisor to the OVOP, One Village, One Products, and also the National Mekong Committee. Silk story is linked to agriculture, to poverty, to economic development, and also to OVOP. OVOP is One Village, One Product. So this is the activities that I like to promote, the silk, and I believe that this is one of the important topic or items that I have interest for a long time. I have interest for a long time, since maybe 20 years ago.
Let me set the context a bit. You know, for me, when I was the Secretary of State of Commerce from 1999 to 2005, I was quite involved to promote the development of the silk industry, more from the institutional setting. You know, the idea we say, look, silk is a cultural product because it's been there for thousands of years. If you look at the Apsara and Angkor Wat, they wore silk. And it's nowadays you go to Siem Reap, all this cultural show, the Royal Ballet, it's all Cambodian silk, the golden silk. To me, it's more than just silk as a product. This is silk as a national identity, silk as a cultural identity, to the point that even when we negotiate the accession to WTO, we are quite forceful to maintain our cultural identity you know, Angkor Wat, so that we don't open just to marketing, just to sort of like the Hollywood type who just want to have access to our natural heritage and make money from film. Yes, we do want that. But we want to put a context to say, having such a long history of culture, thousands of years, and behind that, silk play an important role because it sort of make people, you know, looks good, feels good, having such a product. But transposing 1,000 years later in this modern day, silk now is not anymore worn by Apsara at the Royal Palace or at the Den show. Silk is worn by fashion designer. Silk are worn by, you know, celebrity and you see Cambodian silk product now in Milan, in New York, in Japan, Tokyo. So silk has economic value, and I believe that Cambodia is in a position to contribute to the development of a new silk industry. From what I know, we barely produce 5 metric tons of silk.
Correct.
While the actual need is about 400 metric tons. Why do you think we cannot, you know, produce that, knowing that we have a demand?
First of all, I think what you described about the importance of silk is correct. It is multi-dimension. It's not only about economics. It is social, cultural, a national identity. So Cambodia has a long tradition of silk production. So this is correct. And at the same time, silk is, I read the newspaper recently, it is not only about the product of the past, it is also the product of the future. So has always been important, is important, and will be important. One interesting story on the journal, the newspaper the other day, they say that when human will travel to Mars, planet Mars,
yes,
right? At the time, the only food available for a human being, because the travel is so long, so the pupa or the insect in a cocoon will be the only source of protein for human to survive. This is interesting, isn't it?
Wow.
Now come back to the story of our silk.
On Earth. Come back on Earth.
Okay, let me come back on Earth. Coming on Earth, just a small background of this project. I formulate myself this project when I was senior economist of the FAO in Rome. I traveled to Cambodia a few times. I do all survey in Cambodia with experts from Korea. So I came here 3 times and try to analyze what's happening to Cambodia. You are absolutely right. Right now, Cambodia needs at least 400 tons. At least 400 tons. But now our productions is only less than 5 tons. Some say 2, some say 3, so nobody knows exactly what. But from my perspective as economist, I could see that even 2-3 tons will be finished off one day. So this is a serious problem for Cambodia. It is a contradiction for economists. We're trying to see what are the gaps from the macro point of view. We need 400, we produce less than 5, so practically 1%. Very little, very little. So this is a big issue. And then I have investigated with my expert. The main problem, although we have long tradition and produce silk in Cambodia, but we do that kind of traditional way, lack of technical knowledge, doing kind of, okay, my mother told me to do this way, so I do the same thing. So it's not really modern technology injected into the system. Not only that, I might say one of the main problems for our silk industry is disease.
Disease?
Disease of the silkworm.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's disease of the silkworm.
What do you mean by that?
Disease of the silkworm, like in any agriculture production or even human being, we normally look at the seeds. How do you start it? So silk is the silkworm, which is the important factor in addition to mulberry. But in our context, in Cambodian tradition, our silkworm has so many diseases. It could go up to as high as 70-80% mortality. Meaning what? Meaning we raised 100 silkworm, 70 die. So it's not feasible for the farmer to do that. I could not tell you the technically they call it protozoa or something like that, but it is very dangerous, and it is like AIDS. And then when it is contaminated the mother, it conveyed to the silkworm babies as well. So it is very dangerous. Why? Because in Cambodia context, farmers themselves, they do the breeding. They do the breeding themselves. So by doing breeding themselves, there are two problems. One problem is there is no control of disease because they don't know how to control it. It's beyond their capacity. And number two problem is called inbreeding. Meaning that you cross within the family, you cross within brothers and sisters. So the quality of the silkworm getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And up to now, there's no right institution to tackle this. So this is the main issue that our project like to tackle.
From a purely scientific and technical point, you're working on that, it's fine. For me, I look at more from the economic development, the economic prospect. How can that sector, contribute to employment, to growth, to export? But foremost, how can it play a role in gender mainstreaming? As you know, most people who work in the silk are women and living in rural area. To me, the Royal Government is very, very keen to see this disparity between the urban area and the rural area, getting closer and closer in terms of the gap. And I look at the silk sector as a sector that could deliver some response, some contribution to that. You figure out, well, my question would be, how many people, in the family, how many family we need to produce 1 metric tons? And then if you do the math at 400 metric ton per year, you can sort of know what are the scalability, the opportunity to create employment. But that's only silk production, these are upstream. But we are talking the whole downstream activity all the way for export. So you have people who are producing, planting the mulberry, then breeding, then you have people who actually make the yarn, then you have people who actually make the fabric, then you have people who actually make the product, and you have people who actually export. So the economic ripple effect of that, the success of this silk is unbelievable. What's your take on that?
You are absolutely right on this. Silk could play a very important role, very important role, and what we have so far in Cambodia, if you do the kind of value chain analysis, if you could simplify the story into 3 blocks of things. The first one is about agriculture activities. Second one, industrial activities, weaving. And then the third one, commercialization, meaning marketing and so on. Right?
Export.
In short, in a nutshell, Cambodia, we start from second stage and third stage. We missed the first stage. So in value chain, it's very clear that we could not do the supply. This 400 tons that I mentioned is imported from China. It's imported from China. This is cost 30 million a year.
Indirectly from Vietnam.
That's right, indirect from Vietnam. When importing something from abroad, as you say rightly, it's linked from production of silk yarn to weaving to commercializations. If we start from the middle, if we are not sure about the quality in the first part, we could not also control quality in the second part. So this is the issue that we have to tackle the whole value chain. Cambodia very good at second part and third part because of tourist industry, because of traditions in artistic culture, heritage that we have. We're famous. However, the first part is missing. So we have to do something about the first part. And you are right, by revitalizing the first part, it makes things link to one to two to three, we could create a lot of synergy by linking those activities together. Just think simply, just to replace 400 tons of seal that we imported now, call it import substitutions, we have to produce about 4,000 to 5,000 hectares of mulberry plantations.
That's it?
At the moment, for the start. However, Cambodia has the potential to do beyond this, to do beyond this.
So you mean to say that to produce 400 metric ton, we only need about 5,000 hectares?
That's correct.
But if we can produce more, we could actually export
We can.
the yarn also.
That's right, that's right.
Ah.
So conservatively, we just start to think, okay, let's produce for ourselves first, which is 400 tons,
Yes.
require, let's say, 5,000 hectares.
Yes.
Right now, we have less than 10 hectares.
You're kidding me?
That's right, we had less than 10 hectares. So we had to start from that area. Yesterday, I just come back from Kiribung as well. So these are good activities, a good response from the community. They are very interested. Like I mentioned before, it was not interested because of mortality of silkworm.
Yes.
So when the silkworm dies so much, it's not profitable.
Yes.
So farmers are not interested.
Yes.
So when we have a government institution who could make sure that this is, let's say we could not achieve 100%, but at least 90, 95%.
Yes.
I think the activities are going to be productive. So this will have a lot of effect economically on the rural area, as you mentioned right now.
Yes.
If we talk about the weaving and commercialization, is rather concentrated in the city.
Yes.
But if you're talking about planting mulberry,
Yes.
rearing in a farm, you help a lot of farm family or rural people family, especially women. This is very, very simple job, not heavy job like preparing land for rice or
Yes.
so on.
Yes.
It's very light job
Yes.
that women could do, young people could do, and also old people could do. I have so many Japanese friends who told me that in the old day,
Yeah.
silk was one of the main contribution to Japanese economic development.
Interesting.
That time there were no World Bank.
Yeah.
They could not get dollars for exchange to inject into the economy. So they had to sell the silk yarn or silk product abroad and taking that money and buy the equipment back home.
You're talking, I mean, pre-war, pre...
About 100 years ago.
100 years ago. Wow.
Yeah. After Japanese, Korean.
Yeah.
After Korean, Chinese.
Yeah.
Now the trend in the world is that about 70% of the total production is in China. However, China is more and more interested not in agriculture, but in more industrial product like mobile phone, which make more money. So the production,
So opportunity
that's right.
for us.
So the production in China will go down like this,
Yes.
right? The price will go up, as you
Yes.
could see.
Yes.
We hear two years ago about $30, $40.
Yeah.
Now 50, now $60 of
So economically speaking, you know, there's a danger as well as an opportunity. The risk is that if we don't shape up our own upstream production of the raw material, we'll be subject to escalating price because China is producing less. But if you reverse the flow, you say now, let's grab the opportunity to produce more. Now there's an opportunity if China supply decrease, we can increase our supply, first to meet our own demand, of course, but then we could also be a player. I would like to say that in the metaphor with the rice industry, whom I have the pleasure to work with you on helping contribute to development of the rice policy, we are a new kid on the block. We are competing with Thailand and Vietnam, who's been there for so many years. We're new kid on the block on the rice. Maybe in a few years' time, we could be the new kid on the block on the silk.
why not?
Why not?
Why not?
So
Yeah.
speaking on the future, what's your plan in the coming years to develop the sector?
Yeah, before I come back to your question, but let me go back to emphasize the importance
Yes.
to change the challenge to the opportunity, as you mentioned right now.
Okay.
If you visit the rural family right now,
Yes.
the farm family who do the weaving now, they abandon weaving.
Yes.
Why? Because their sale of traditional clothes Cambodia called hol or pramong,
Yes.
The price is more or less the same, or
Yeah.
go up a little bit, but the raw material go up like
Yes.
this. So they could not make money.
Yes.
They could not make money.
Yes.
So I visited many village. They
Yes.
told me that they could not make money anymore, so they stopped even weaving.
My God.
They stopped even weaving. This is the
That's
area.
bad.
Very bad, very bad. This is what I mentioned to you about the second phase.
Yes.
We say that we are good at second phase and third phase,
Yeah.
but in fact, the second phase also in troubles.
Wow.
So this is the challenge that we have now. You could visit the rural area now. This is the problem we face. So I could see as economists that the price of Siljan can go only higher and higher and higher,
Yes.
right? So from 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60s. So in other words, it is also a good opportunity for us.
Yes.
Because China will produce less and
Yes.
less and less. So why not us? Cambodia, we have land.
Yes.
We have a good climate. We have people to work on this.
Yes.
What is missing, really missing right now, as
Okay.
I mentioned to you, is technology to manage that our silkworm is in good health,
Yes.
no disease,
Yeah.
and very highly productive. So this-
Policy-wise, do you need policy intervention?
I think right now policies intervention is maybe what we could say just to make awareness to
Okay.
people to know
Okay.
about this.
Okay.
But in the future, perhaps a kind of policies that, okay, farmer are not allowed to breed themselves.
Okay.
Because this is the way they did in Japan,
Yes.
the way they did in Korea, even China.
Yes.
We must have a very
Control environment.
controlled environment, not really high-tech institute,
Okay.
but a well-controlled institute to breed the good quality silkworm and make sure there's no disease, and then the farmer are just getting the silkworm from us.
Okay.
That national institute is necessary to supply even to the whole countries.
Yes.
So it has a role to supply to the farmer.
Okay.
Farmer only, okay,
Yes.
get the silkworm and raise it.
Okay. We're almost coming to the end of our show. A few words on, again, the plan for the coming year, and perhaps your suggestion on how you think the sector can move forward.
Right now, I'm very happy to report that the project we worked only 1 year so far, but we see very tangible result. There's a lot of good response. So what we are doing now, we just strengthen our institute. We expand to have 2 stations of Mulberry now, in Kampong Spin and Kandal, and we have 1 laboratory in Phnom Penh. So this work as a network to really control and supply the silkworm, baby silkworm. And then we experiment in the field, because this is only laboratory.
Yeah.
So we had to work with community,
Yeah.
with the farmer themselves. Last year we were successful in working with some district in Takai province. So yesterday I went to Kiriwung again. So I know that we want to expand to 5.
Kampong Cham also soon, huh?
Kampong Cham
Custom is coming soon.
Kampong Cham could do, Kracha could do. We will try in Previ here as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, I think another opportunity may be because the temperature, the climate of the environment, maybe Mondolkori is also another potential. But my concern is, I have a few concerns, because looking ahead right now, things going to expand more and more. But our project that funded by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the FAO could last only for 2 years.
Yes.
I will try hard to expand maybe by another year to 3 years, right? After that, we have to think about the sustainability to be able to supply this silkworm for a long time.
All right. Well, I really hate this 30-minute, because you barely start going and then you're coming to the end. But perhaps I would want to just pick a few ideas that I think come about from this discussion, is that this silk product has tremendous opportunity to contribute to poverty reduction, a lot of opportunity to help gender mainstreaming in the context of this social economic MDG, Cambodian MDG. But foremost is more in the potential to create job in the rural area. And at the end, if we succeed on this, not only we succeed in terms of financial or money, employment or job, but we succeed in sustaining a cultural, economic industry that predate our life, dating back to thousands ago, and keep the flame of our culture, of our identity, of the seven wonder Angkor Wat alive. So this is something that I want to praise for your work, and I hope you'll be able to mobilize more support. And hopefully I'll see you next time with concrete product. So once again, Kalyan, thank you so much for coming. And Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next week. Good night.